In this episode, we're going to dive deep and talk about and do a tasting review of 11 Brix from Cascahuin right here on the Tequila Hombre, coming up next. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tequila Hombre, where today we're going to be taking a look at and diving deep down into the world of 11 Brix. It's been hyped like crazy. It's mega expensive. And today we're going to talk about whether it's worth it or not and the whole methodology and stuff behind it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the production of this tequila. All right, for many of you that are involved in the tequila world, you know that Cascahuin's been doing some limited releases lately, experimenting with all different kinds of things. So with Cascahuin's, with 11 Brix, what they did is they decided they were going to play around with fermentation, which is great. So this tequila is made just like by any other, the processes used in any other Cascahuin tequila out there, with one major difference. And that is when they created the Mosto, they fermented it in 3 different kinds of fermenting vessels. They did cement, they did wood, and they did stainless steel. Now, let's talk a little bit about fermentation, okay? Because fermentation is basically yeast taking the sugars and converting them into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Now, the things that yeast need in order to really do their job is sugars and oxygen, okay? A temperature has a big effect on how yeast react and how they work within a fermentation process. So the cooler the temperature, the longer it takes for fermentation to happen, and a lot of times a cleaner fermentation happens at a cooler temperature. The hotter the temperature, the faster the fermentation happens, and the greater chance of producing off flavors if you push that yeast beyond where its prime range is, okay? So with fermentation vessels, yeast does not care what vessel it's in when it's doing its fermentation. It doesn't care if it's cement, it doesn't care if it's wood, and it doesn't care if it's stainless steel. So no matter what vessel you're fermenting in, the yeast will do its job. It's just how well of a job it will do is going to depend on temperature. Temperature is going to be a big thing, as well as oxidation, how much oxygen it's going to get. Now, you don't want to over-oxidize when it's fermenting either. You want to inject some oxygen in the beginning so the yeast has some oxygen to work with, and let it go, and it'll do its job. And typically, by just splashing the Mosto into the vessel, it's enough to create enough oxygen environment for the yeast to work and do its job. So let's look at the 3 different type of fermentation vessels and kind of how they can affect fermentation. With cement tends to be cooler because it's thicker. You can't really change the temperature of it, dramatically. If it's going to be cool in the beginning, it's going to stay cool pretty much through fermentation. It doesn't really attract heat or change that easily. So if you have a cooler tank when you put the yeast in, it's going to do a good job of insulating that fermentation and keeping the fermentation cool, which is a good thing. Stainless steel is very easy to adjust and control the temperature with. As with steel, it can conduct heat as well as cold, and you can adjust and maintain a temperature easier in a fermentation tank that is made of stainless steel. Wood is a little more difficult to control the temperature, but wood will insulate things pretty well. So if you keep it in a colder environment, it'll do a good job of keeping the temperature down. Now, wood tends to be more porous, which means more yeast cells can get trapped in the wood fibers, and residual stuff from previous fermentations can also be stuck in the wooden tank, which can add additional flavors and stuff to it. But as far as how it will ferment and how good of a job it'll do, the yeast will do a great job no matter what fermentation vessel it's in, as long as you monitor temperature and make sure that you don't push that yeast beyond its range. So the fact that these were fermented in 3 different vessels really doesn't mean much as long as the fermentation is held at the same temperature through all three vessels, the results should be pretty similar, except for maybe some residual stuff you may get from a wood, or if there's any cracks or areas where yeast can get in, as well as other mosto particles from other fermentations in the cement, that may impart different flavors as well. Stainless steel is very easy to clean and can give you the cleanest fermentation of the three vessels. Okay, so that being said, is this tequila super special because they use three different vessels? Not really. It has to do with how well they monitored the fermentation temperature and controlled the fermentation depending on the yeast that they use. I don't know if they use the same yeast for all three fermentations or not. If it was an open air fermentation, that kind of stuff I didn't get the details on. But assuming it's the same yeast, as long as you keep it at the same temperature, all three vessels should do great. Anything that imparts different flavors will have to come from particles being trapped in the wood or in the cement. Now, if the wood was a new wood fermentation vessel, that could impart some flavors on its own. But as far as I know, this is the same vessel they've been using for their some of the products that they've been using wooden vessels for. So it's not a new wood tank. So as far as it being a cool idea of combining three different vessels, yeah, it's a cool idea. Is it something I'm going to pay extra money for? So far, I'm not really excited about it. But let's get into the tasting portion and see what this tequila says to me. All right, so this will be the first time tasting this. So as I open the bottle, I want to explain to you the 11 Brix, the name comes from the sugar content in the Mosto in all three tanks. So what that basically means is with 11 Brix, there's enough sugar in there to roughly produce about a 53% alcohol by volume tequila, which is what this is. It is 53% alcohol by volume, which is still strength. And so we'll pop the top here. We'll pour a little bit in the glass, and let's take a look at this tequila, and I'll give you an honest, unbiased review, as I do not get paid for these reviews. I do them to educate. So, all right, here we go. So looking at this tequila in the glass, it coats the glass beautifully. You can see the legs and tears coming down the glass. So it's got a nice viscous mouthfeel to it. Nice oily. Look at that. Looks good. Looks great. It really does. So all the legs and tears are still going down. Looking at the tequila itself, it is crystal clear. Looks beautiful. Silver flashes flashing through it. Looks amazing. All right. So let's see what we get on the nose on this. I'm definitely picking up the nice cooked agave, so the cinnamon and baking spices. There is a minerality to it. Picking up a little hint of pepper. Some citrus on the nose as well. It smells really good. I don't smell anything off about this. It smells really good. All right, so let's see what we get on the flavor profile. Now, this will be the first time drinking tequila today, so I'm going to acclimate my mouth to 53% alcohol by volume first. So I'm not going to do any tasting on the first sip. Wait for the burning to go down. Subside as my gums are going, holy cow! Get everything used to it, so it knows that it's going to be getting some more. Now, just so you know, this right now is retailing. The lowest I've seen online was $359 for a bottle. From what I understand, it went for $80 in Mexico. That's crazy prices here in the US. I was able to get mine from Ferment and Still for $209. which I think is a better price. But let's see if this is worth $200 as far as a Blanco tequila goes. All right, so let's do our evaluation tasting right now. Coats the mouth nicely. Definitely nice viscous mouthfeel to it. Oily. Nice oil viscosity to it. Getting definitely lots of cinnamon and baking spices from the cooked agave in there. It's definitely got a peppery burn to it. Definitely hints of pepper. Picking up some slight citrus. Almost like a sweet orange note coming through. Hint of grapefruit. And a cinnamon, sweet cinnamon note on the finish on it. Little bit of herbal notes in there as well. Tiny hint of herbal notes coming through. It's good. It's a good Blanco. It's fairly complex and delicious. I like it. I like it. So I would rate this on a scale, up to 1 to 5 agave. I'd give this one a 4 agave. I'd recommend it. But based on the pricing, if this was priced at a reasonable price, I would say you have solid 4 agave. But based on the pricing, I'm going to drop this down to a 2 agave because this is not worth $200 for a Blanco. There is nothing about this tequila that says you should spend $200 on it. I've had other high proof Blancos that I've enjoyed more, that I think are better for a fourth of the price. Matter of fact, the Carrera high proof Blanco that's coming out, that I've had the privilege of tasting and being a part of, for me is far better than this, and it's gonna go for $65. So I give this one 2 agave based on the price. If it was around $65 to $80 for a bottle, I definitely give it a solid 4 agave and recommend it. Well, there you go. There's my take on this tequila. Definitely hyped a lot. I'm kind of sad I paid $200+ for it. I don't think it's worth it. There's other tequilas out there that I think are a better buy, that have a better flavor profile for me, including that new Carrera 54, which is coming out. You'll see it hit the US here shortly. And if you remember the Tequila Barrel and Agave Collective, you'll be able to get yours as an exclusive when it arrives in the United States. It is absolutely fantastic, and I would take that over this any day, especially for $65. All right, there you go. There's my impression. There's some great information about this as well, and about fermentation. If you like the information I gave you, click that thumbs up button, give me a like for the information I shared with you. If you're new to the Tequila Hombre channel, bienvenido, welcome. And make sure you click that subscribe button right there and the notification bell next to it so you get notified when any of the new reviews come up, as well as any live streams, so you can come and comment and learn some more about tequila and other tequila brands that are out on the market. Like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila, and there's nothing wrong with 11 Brix except the price. So if you're okay spending $200+ on a bottle of 11 Brix in the United States, then go for it. I don't recommend it. There's other tequilas out there that I think are better for a way better price. And there you go. Salud.